So, what if I told you that by the end of this year, you might have a new coworker, and it's an AI? I'm not talking about just a tool, but a genuine contributor to your team. You see, 2025 isn't just another year for tech. It's the year AI is really stepping out of the research lab and, well, into our daily lives in ways that are going to change just about everything. Okay, so let's dive in and figure out what that means for all of us.
All right, to really get a handle on what's happening, we're going to go on a bit of a journey. We'll kick things off at the very beginning, with the incredible dream that sparked this whole field. Then, we'll look at how that dream is showing up in your world, like right now. After that, we have to confront some tough, really critical questions about bias and trust. And to wrap it all up, we'll look to the horizon, to the ultimate quest for a true, thinking machine.
Okay, so to really understand the mind-blowing breakthroughs we're seeing today, we have to rewind. I mean, all the way back to the very beginning, to the foundational dream that really started it all.
And here it is, the single sentence from a 1956 research proposal. This is basically the Big Bang of artificial intelligence. It's so much more than just a technical document. It's like a declaration of a new scientific faith, right? The idea that every single aspect of what makes us intelligent could one day be simulated by a machine. I mean, what an incredibly bold, almost audacious place to start.
And you can just see that acceleration right here on this timeline. I mean, for decades, progress was pretty slow and steady. Then, bam, 2016 happens, and we get a breakthrough that experts thought was at least a decade away. And now, here in 2025, we're seeing models that can reason, understand, and create in ways that are starting to blur that line between human and machine intelligence. The pace it's just staggering.
You know, from the very start, the field has been shaped by these two competing philosophies. Think of it as the rulebook versus learning by example. Symbolic AI is kind of like a brilliant logician. It only knows the rules you give it, but man, it follows them perfectly. Connectionist AI, which is what's powering today's revolution, is more like an infant's brain. It learns by just observing the world and finding patterns all on its own.
And the engine behind this connectionist approach is the neural network. This thing is the workhorse of modern AI. You can really just think of it as the brain of the machine, a complex web of artificial neurons designed to mimic, in a very simplified way, how our own brains learn.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's surprisingly straightforward. The input layer takes in raw data, like the pixels of an image. Then the hidden layers, and there can be a ton of these, do all the heavy lifting, analyzing that data to spot patterns. And finally, the output layer gives you the answer. This is a cat, or this email is spam. Simple as that.
All right, let's move on and see how all this theory actually builds into applications that you and I use every single day. Because this technology isn't just theoretical, it's already here.
So that three-step process we just walked through, input, process, output, that's happening thousands of times a minute in your life. Seriously. Every time Netflix suggests a movie, that's a neural network that took your viewing history as input, processed it through its hidden layers to find patterns, and produced an output, a recommendation. It's basically the invisible plumbing of our digital world. But it's also driving massive innovation in really critical fields. AI is helping doctors spot diseases earlier in X-rays, it's making self-driving cars a reality, and it's even powering national initiatives like the Genesis mission in the US, which is all about using AI agents to solve some of the country's biggest scientific challenges.
Okay, but this incredible power, it comes with a serious catch. As these systems learn from our world, they can also learn and even amplify our worst biases.
Imagine getting turned down for a loan, and when you ask why, the answer you get is just, the system said so. That right there is the black box problem in a nutshell. We can see what the AI decides, but we can't always see why. And when that decision affects your job application or your medical diagnosis, we don't know just isn't a good enough answer.
And the stakes here are incredibly high. A ProPublica investigation found that a risk assessment algorithm used in the U.S. justice system was way more likely to incorrectly label black defendants as future criminals than white defendants. Now, this isn't a bug in the code. It's a reflection of the bias that was already in the historical data the system was trained on.
And here's what makes this problem so tough, even for developers who mean well. The bias often starts long before a single line of code is ever written. Just look at this data on medical research funding. Cystic fibrosis, which affects white patients more, gets way more funding per person than sickle cell disease, which affects black patients more. An AI that learns from this real-world data doesn't learn to be malicious, it just learns our priorities, our history, our systemic imbalances. It holds up a mirror to our society, warts and all.
This leaves us with a critical, really urgent question. How do we fix this? How do we build AI that reflects the world we want to live in, not just the one we happen to have right now?
Fortunately, some of the brightest minds on the planet are working on exactly this. So let's look at some of the concrete strategies being developed to build more responsible and trustworthy AI.
So to tackle this, researchers are developing some really clever technical tools. Think of explainable AI, or XAI, as the show your work button for an algorithm, forcing it to reveal its reasoning. Federated learning is kind of like having a group of people vote on something without ever revealing their individual identities, so it protects privacy. And differential privacy is like adding so much digital noise to a photo of a crowd that you can see the crowd's general shape, but you can't pick out any single face.
But you know, technology alone isn't the whole answer. The bigger idea here is creating something called algorithmic hygiene. Think of it like a chef keeping their kitchen absolutely spotless. It means you're constantly checking your ingredients, the data, for any spoilage or bias. It means you're tasting the dish, the model's outputs, at every single stage of cooking to make sure it's not just effective, but fair. It's really about building a culture of responsibility from the ground up.
Okay, for our final section, let's look ahead. Beyond solving today's problems, researchers are still chasing that original dream from 1956, creating artificial general intelligence.
It's really helpful to think about AI in 3 stages. Today we've got ANI, or narrow AI. These are systems that are brilliant at one specific task, like playing Go or spotting fraud. The next step is AGI, a system with human-like intelligence that can learn and reason across many different areas. And then, beyond that, is ASI, or superintelligence, an intellect that surpasses our own in pretty much every way imaginable.
The arrival of AGI would trigger some truly profound societal change. One estimate from McKinsey suggests that up to 45%, that's almost half, of current jobs in the US could be automated within just 2 decades. This isn't just an upgrade. It's a fundamental shift in how our economy and our society actually function.
So, the big question is, when does this future arrive? Well, the truth is, the smartest people in the world are looking at the exact same data and coming to wildly different conclusions. It's like trying to predict a hurricane's exact landfall while you're still in the middle of the storm. Some see it arriving within a decade. Others think it's going to stay out at sea for another 50 years. The only thing everyone agrees on is the sheer, unsettling uncertainty of it all.
And this uncertainty, it leads to the single most important challenge in the entire field, the alignment problem. How do we make sure that a superintelligent AI shares our fundamental values? Because if its goals are not aligned with our own, if it doesn't care about human well-being, the consequences could be, well, catastrophic.
And that, really, brings us to the end. The technical challenges of building a superhuman intelligence are falling away faster than anyone ever imagined. The real challenge, the one that falls to all of us, is to decide what we want that intelligence to be. This isn't just a story about technology. It's a story about us and the future we are actively choosing to build, right now, together.